Hi everyone, I'm Airier, and today we're going to be looking at the third episode of Star Wars vs. Warhammer 40k, Episode 3, The Good Soldiers. I only know that a fan with too much time has done an entire series about this, and that he's kind of won me over with the quality of writing in the first two chapters. He's done some very good things to show complicated character concepts that could easily be simplified as, this character is sneaky, but instead they're doing the work and showing it, which, as someone who has literally got a master's in fiction, I appreciate people doing this right. Also, I'm being hypercritical about this because, again, this is actually something I do have expertise in. And he's actually measuring up, so I'm really excited to see where it goes. Because people mentioned episodes 3 and 5 are the ones to really look for, and we on episode 3. So we're going to jump right in, see where this goes, and hope I don't have too much of a fan overload. Because I'm a geek, and I do that when it comes to spaceships, and there are spaceships involved. It's happened a few times. Otherwise, link below, original video, hit it up. And when you're done, don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe. Let's get started. Episode 3. Good Soldiers. I don't know why, but for some reason that font looks similar to something, but like a 90s film, not Star Wars. I want to say Alien vs. Predator? No, that can't be it. Ooh. Warp Travel State? Ooh. I don't know which game this is from, but that looks cool. And then they'd be showing the chaotic aspect. Whoa, 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 whoa. Interference disrupting servo skull catch. Oh, dude. Calliston. Operational rebooting systems. Oh, it's all the various things. Oil leak, weapons. Oh, okay, so it's actually Gellerfield damage. Oh. Gellerfield damage, Magos Jeremiah. Is this an original animation here? No, it probably isn't. I heard there's things like that that happen later in the series when there's more funding, but early on, these were probably from games. In which case, this is really cool. And you can see it destabilizing by the camera shaking. Nice choice. There's a face in there.
What is wrong with the ship?
Oh, there's a face in there.
Captain Nexus Lente yelled over the sounding alarms and creaking rumbling of the battle barge, Master of Light.
What?
It sounded as if the whole vessel was being beaten by an endless rain of power fists. And while Chapter Master Orion remained composed as he sat within his command throne, his gauntleted hands were tight about the armrests, and he would have fractured the stone if it had not been a steel command throne.
Oh.
He had seen near unceasing war for over 700 years. Was this how the Emperor ended his service?
So this is the good
he
guys.
Shoved the
No
thought
random
back into the corners of his
Slaanesh
mind.
Marines.
Best to consider such things after the event in question. And the event in question had been going on for hours, slowly getting worse and worse.
The Gellerfield? Wait,
What's
warp travel.
wrong with the ship? Captain Aurelian repeated. We're flying through the damned warp without a functioning navigator. That's what's wrong with the Emperor damned ship.
Oh yeah, because
he yelled.
There's no lighthouse to work on.
It isn't warp turbulence, my lords, shouted one of the tech adepts,
What?
her wired, integrated body twitching and convulsing somewhat as the machine spirit of the vessel fed her information directly. It's the Gellerfield, my lords, she yelled a moment later. Emperor's teeth, the captain cursed.
And I just want to point out, this is something you rarely see in anything 40k. A tech priest with most of their face. I mean, also it's a rather beautiful woman. But more importantly, you don't usually see that for tech priests. Usually you see that in off-brand art that they sometimes make of it, but never in... Considering what I just said and what the source is probably most likely, I'm going to stop talking because of YouTube reasons.
Prepare for warp incursions, Orion bellowed, raising himself unsteadily from his pitching, quaking throne. No, my lord, it isn't like that, the tech adept yelled over the din of the bucking ship and the ringing and clicking of drawn weapons. Report, he barked. The Gellerfield isn't failing, it's too powerful.
What?
It's not meeting enough resistance. My lord, if we do not power it down to an adequate output, the excess energy will continue to build. It's going...
I mean... Huh. Yeah, that makes sense, because normally it's pressing against all of the demons pressing against them, and without it, they're literally building a bomb. It's like trying to take a spaceship into the ocean. It'll implode. Or in this case, taking a submarine into space. It's meant to have pressure against it. Without it, yeah, because you're building it against the force that it's, well, going against. They're literally built on completely different principles, even though shape-wise, they're usually very similar. One is meant to contain where the other is meant to push out, but they're both more or less cylindrical. Huh. From a 40k standpoint, though, hearing the phrase, the Gellerfield is too powerful, has to be one of the weirdest sentences you can imagine. And I love that this is in here because You can never have too powerful of a Gellerfield in 40k. That is literally not a sentence anyone in 40k, outside of this fanfiction, as far as I can think of, has ever said. Because it's 40k. The Gellerfield is never powerful enough. It is sometimes too weak, and hopefully you just get by through sheer luck, grit, and determination, and adequate DACA. It's never going to be enough DACA either. So just the phrase, the Gellerfield is too powerful, is probably weird, even to Space Marines, who, if they're going the mimetic route of having perfect recall and understanding things way faster than normal human because their minds are literally wired differently, that is going to take some time to work through, followed by the recommendation. You have to power it down. Which is like saying, hey, go into the nuclear reactor that's overloading for safety. And then meaning that completely legitimately. Except the nuclear reactor for safety is actually something you would literally consider if your Gellerfield is failing or powering down. So yeah, this is probably panic-inducing. I love it.
Going to tear the ship apart. Are you seriously suggesting weakening the Gellerfield during warp travel? Has Horus stolen your sense? Captain Aurelian boomed. Do it, the chapter master ordered.
Oh, he actually agreed.
What? Aurelian yelled. As you command, the
Prepare
tech called, but
self-ending
Aurelian was
device.
on her almost before she could move, wrapping one of his massive gauntlets around her skull from behind. Take that field down, and I'll take you down, he growled over the speakers in his helmet.
Oh.
Captain Aurelian knew that they had little chance of survival if a demonic incursion should occur, even with a flickering, fluctuating Gellerfield. But there would be no chance of survival if the whole field failed at once.
Now, this is interesting. He's countermanding the chapter master. Considering some chapters would literally just kill this guy flat out for doing that, and they're an Ultramarines branch, that's actually weird, considering that was the chapter master who just gave the order to do it, countermanding the captain. And I thought that meant captain of the... originally, I was thinking he was talking about captain of the ship instead of captain of, the Ultramarines. Huh. Interesting.
Captain, get off her! Crewmen, do it now! Orion roared, taking a few steps in their direction. Captain Aurelian did not release the woman, though neither did he rip her head from her shoulders as her trembling hand reached up to the crank lever on her console and slowly pulled it down.
God damn, she's actually really brave.
As she did, the whole ship began to calm, the rattling and pounding diminishing until completely vanished. Gellerfield holding at 31% output.
Things that you never thought would actually sound calm. Also, props to her. One, good art. Also, apparently she's just canon, really beautiful Magus, because this looks like canon or commissioned art. Two, she has a Space Marine captain who's angry, which is the normal state, in full armor, gripping her by the head, threatening to kill her, while another one is giving her an order. And she actually has the wherewithal, one, to remain conscious, and two, to do her job. Most humans in 40k aren't this brave. Stupid enough to do it when, just stupid? Yes. But if they're aware of the situation in any way, shape, or form, like she is, this is actually a great display of bravery on her part. And it's not even the entire point of this scene. But if this character becomes someone of any note, you know off the bat for any interaction, there we go, that she may not be as strong as everyone else, but goddamn, she can hold her own when it comes to facing down imminent death. In the sense that she's doing her job while imminent death is literally holding her head. The fact that this captain is still alive is surprising. Because I don't remember insubordination being something any Space Marine chapter was okay with. Even when it was kind of important that they did. A la, what was the one guy in the green cloak in the original Horus Heresy that technically is alive still in 40k because warp shenanigans? It's annoying me because Uriel, I think. I could be mistaken.
She reported. There was a pause then, as everyone, with the exception of the tech adept herself, took a moment to express their relief as tense muscles slackened and held breaths rushed out as sighs. Even Captain Aurelian himself couldn't help grinning inside his helmet from the lifting of the sudden danger, though he had not opened his hand. Though Orion had also breathed out a gust of anxiety, his eyes had never left his subordinates. Captain Aurelian, your penance is already going to be severe, the chapter
One, just love the art here. Two, the fact that the guy's only talking about penance for the captain, and honestly, he has a really small torso. Like, the torso up here looks like the size I'm expecting, but maybe it's the way he's turned, but it looks deformed in a way that Space Marines usually aren't. Usually they're overly bulky. This one is smaller, almost human-sized waist, comparative to the size. It's just so weird that he's still alive. I'm still stuck on that. It's a very forgiving chapter, apparently.
Master said through gritted teeth, and it's only going to get worse the longer you ignore me. Release now.
Oh yeah, he is
the
definitely going to kill the
captain
chapter
opened his hand
master.
And pulled away from the crewman like a man who had picked up a glowing coal by mistake, stepping back from the tech adept's control alcove. My apologies, he said to the chapter master, before turning to offer them to the adept as well, though it grated on him to do so. To you as well. The woman stared straight forward.
Oh, and there we go, telling a good bit about him beyond his personality. We kind of knew that he's brash and that he's upcoming, so we knew a lot about that from the previous chapters, but those were told to us. Here, though, this is the first time with this character we're being shown something. I mean, honestly, his reaction to say, don't do it, is a perfectly logical reaction in 40K. We just know it's not because this is the Star Wars universe instead. The warp is calmer. That said, the fact that he did it, the fact that he then had that smile on the inside, he's very emotional. And more importantly, he does not regard humans at any level equal to him, because that's actually a trademark of a lot of Marines. Not all loyalists were pro-human. Generally, the transhuman aspect of Space Marines, the fact that they lived an extended amount of time equal to how long it took to get killed, which is really how long to go. Theoretically, they are technically immortals. Functionally, no. They're immortal, not invulnerable. And that does add up to wear, tear, death. So even though they could live forever, they won't, because they're putting themselves into a place where they won't. Already, we see so much about the captain that he doesn't value her, because it grated on him to apologize to her. Not because he thought he was wrong, but because the act of doing it, but only to her. He apologized to the rest, but not her. He did it. He can push through. But he has that superiority complex going that, honestly, was kind of a hallmark of, well, I was going to say in all of the Traitor Legions, but frankly, the one they pointed out to the most were some of the Traitor Legions, specifically, oddly enough, the Luna Wolves, the Black Legion predecessor under Horus, and I think it was more the Death Guard, who had that hard-on for being anti-Earth, anti-human, the superior of them. Although it was mostly highlighting the Black Legion, previous Luna Wolves, because they were the opening cover people for the initial books where that kind of philosophy was more or less shown. Makes sense. I'm sure it's prevalent everywhere. But that's also something humans feel, or not humans, that Space Marines feel in the Loyalist side as well. It's almost continuous in the Space Marine side, other than the Alpha Legion, which canonically did actually include members who were not Space Marines as members of the Alpha Legion. Yeah, technically, if you were just part of their cabal of secrecy, that was enough to count as a member of the Alpha Legion. The members just also included Space Marines and anyone that joined. Not sure if that was ever carried on later, but that was in the books. Just a cool little thing there.
Shoulders trembling only slightly, though she did offer a stiff nod, not trusting her voice to speak.
Yeah, probably a good idea.
Back to your station, Captain. Crew, report.
That is a very tall guy behind him.
Ship formation is at cohesion.
Oh, yeah, body horror.
The report came from a servitor, half fused into the wall of his control station.
Joyce considering he has the robes around him.
Keys as reading scrolled across his unblinking, bloodshot eyes. It is confirmed, sir. Nearly all ships are experiencing the same turbulence we are.
I wonder if you can read that.
With the exception of the Atlas of Steel, all ships are remaining within range of the main fleet.
Yeah.
The eddies and currents of the warp appear placid, my lord.
Things you never hear?
Aye. Contact the fleet. Give them instructions to level their Gellerfield outputs out. Tell them it is a direct order from me. Yes, my lord.
Plus, they'll be able to see it, so that's also
stared at the large hololithic displays projected.
Minor thing. I know it's just the art shading and how it's reflecting, but it really looks like he has small, slim sunglasses on top of his helmet. This isn't just the Black Templars. This is the cool Templars. The cooler Templars. Yeah.
Projected before him, eyes wide as he watched the fleet formation queue up. So many ships, all still lined up.
Hey, facial hair, nice. A beard and a mustache combo. Classy. Sorry, I just love seeing this because so many of the arts. Again, I know I went on this last time around, but it's all mohawks. It's all mohawks all the way down. God damn it. Just appreciating actual facial hair for once.
All still on the path. All still alive. He almost wanted to call for yet another confirmation. How was it possible?
Ooh,
ship formation cohesion?
Holograms, nice.
This many hours into the warp? Normally, only about 70 or 60% of the fleet arrived at their destination in any kind of formation, with a certain amount arriving before the rest of the fleet, a certain amount arriving long after, and a disturbing portion simply never being heard from again.
Because they might
But
have
full
arrived way
formation
before,
cohesion
like
in the warp
centuries.
was unheard of, impossible, and yet... Give me the last known status of the Atlas of Steel. What kind of ship is it? The chapter master ordered.
Atlas of Steel?
Yes, Lord. It appears to be a Universe-class mass conveyor, one of the 5 we managed to secure for the evacuation. The cargo here is listed as several megatons of ceramite, but they are likely carrying survivors from Calistan and Jubilation of Tau. They appeared to be increasing their
Tau?
Gellerfield outputs just before they pulled ahead.
I'm sorry, did I hear the Jubilation of Tau? Is that just like a random word that they had in their lexicon and are using now? Or are they actually referring to a planet of Tau that they got people off of? I'm probably missing something obvious. It's probably just something I'm missing.
Veth, one of the captains spat. Has my message been sent yet? Orion asked. Yes, my lord. Confirmation sendings have been received from all ships.
Some of the commissioned art. You can see the shots and the explosion in the background, which is not happening here.
Growled the venerable
Still
space
cool art,
marine. Yes, my lord. The Hand of Catastrophe, the Heart of Judgment, and the Pillar of Termination have not yet lowered their output levels. Their ships are still shaking apart. Damn those green crews. Send the message again. Make it clear that they will be destroyed if they persist.
Unless maybe this is commissioned art and they just have it. No, they're still shooting in the background. Never mind. Yeah. I thought maybe it is because they're about to explode, but no, you see shots going in.
If not by the turbulence, then by me at the conclusion of this jump. Tell them. The crewman acknowledged again, and Orion sat down.
It is a weird command, though.
There was nothing to do now, but wait to arrive. He wondered briefly if the Atlas of Steel was
that's the back of his head, okay.
Or if it would arrive months late, or if it was already there, waiting for him and his fleet, along with whatever had been there already, waiting for them.
Ooh, ships. Is this
the core?
Oh, I actually recognize this image. I'm pretty sure this is actually a still frame from the, I guess, 9th Star Wars movie. I'll be honest. I'm going to say something very divisive. I didn't mind the new trilogy. I didn't think it was great, but it was fun. There was good points and bad points. The casino was a low point. But overall, it was a just perfectly serviceable show. TV show. Well, not even TV show. The TV shows were great. This was just good. But after being bored at some of the Attack of the Clones, I kind of liked it better. Personal opinion. I liked Attack of the Clones less than I did Phantom Menace. Granted, I saw Phantom Menace as a kid. Okay, so that hot take aside, this is one of the cool images from that show, like all the different ships getting there at the same time. Is it cheesy? Yes. Is it stupid? Yes. And was the initial concept of the movie actually incredibly cool and had a bunch of really unique designs that they all scrapped? Yeah, that's a thing. But it's cool that you see it here because it shows just a massive hodgepodge flotilla, larger than anything else shown in the shows ever.
Her wide eyes reflected the engine lights and sublight trails of hundreds of ships. The new armada, for that was what it was.
And I just noticed this, I'm not sure if he did it before, but his narration voice going from the viewpoint of the character, from female character, I'm not sure which one yet, it's softer, which could imply two things. One, that it's a female character, of course, or that it's the Star Wars side, which is a less gritty reality than 40K, which, honestly, that's a really nice choice of a narration voice.
Ranged from the sleek teardrop design of
the stretching the words out,
class assault ships to the lopsided hulks of KDY-class C frigates.
So many ships.
And where they had started with only 3 Venerator-class Star Destroyers, 2 of which
if anything, it's too many ships for the image.
For them, now they had nearly 30. I had no idea that Pazab was this close to Rothana. She muttered
I have
for
no idea what any of
perhaps
those
the
words
third
mean.
time. Rothana, an industrialized world surrounded by shipyards, was technically a
that's what it means.
subsidiary of Kuat drive yards, or at least working in that capacity. That much Dr. Sheena had known already.
Oh, it's Dr. Sheena.
What she
Okay,
had
the
not
tall-haired
known
one.
about was
Head
that it
one.
was the rings of Rothana, not the well-known shipyards at planet Kuat itself, that was supplying the Republic with over 70% of their war machines.
Oh, so they're near a
I
really
must
good production point.
say, it was a surprise to me as well, said Jedi Knight Ren-Fi, arms crossed as he stood beside Dr. Sheena on the bridge, both looking
Which
up
also
at
means
the
it's a
huge
really good
viewing
target to
ports.
fuck over the
It would appear
not Empire,
that the
Republic.
location of Rothana has been a closely guarded secret until now.
They have secret planets?
It is
Really?
fortunate that Kuat of Kuat saw it as prudent to deploy the defense fleet here at our request. Nearly the entire KDY corporate security starfleet. I have to say, it's a surprisingly proportional response,
Proportional?
Dr. Sheena said. What she didn't say out loud, but wondered deeply, was just how the Supreme Chancellor had managed to coax this kind of reaction out of Kuat.
Wait, the guy in charge is Kuat? Or the planet in charge is named Kuat of Kuat, named after the group? I always thought Kuat was the planet, not the actual company, but I guess it makes sense. Also, is this actually a picture of Kuat? Is he a person? You know, I'm just going to be asking a lot of questions I'm not going to get answers to until maybe I see the comments if anyone can actually tell me, is this guy actually Kuat? And there's an actual person named Kuat on a planet Kuat who runs the Kuat company. You know, considering the acronym that forms, that actually makes perfect sense why Palpatine would like them. That's unfortunate.
A man known to be as stubborn as he was rich. She looked around,
That's probably him
only
then.
now noticing the two conspicuous absences in the room. General, she said cautiously, where is CT-1238? And where
What
did
is
your
behind him?
annoyingly insightful apprentice get off to? Captain Kraken is currently
Wait, the
on
guy's name is
Bellagor.
Kraken?
He was quite
Dude.
insistent that we be
Is that
commanding
a
different
sword behind him?
command ships.
That's weird.
Said Ren-Fi. He shrugged at his own words. To be honest, I think he was just eager to command one of those updated Venators. The captain has always been very keen on his starships.
I completely
As
understand
for
that. It makes perfect
Gaffin,
sense.
He's still meditating. He will continue
so
to
that's
do
what he looks
so
like?
for another hour. Sheena
Huh.
tilted her head at the Jedi. You know, if he hadn't convinced me to report this to you, we might still be sitting here with only 3 ships. The Trandoshan made a strange hiss, which Dr. Sheena
the
realized
kid
was a
looks like.
laugh. That is precisely why the last hour will be his 3rd hour only. She didn't quite understand how that explained anything, and was about to say as much when suddenly...
What?
Alert! We've got activity!
Oh,
Both
they're meeting
scientists
now.
and Jedi snapped their gazes forward, eyes searching
Oh, I thought it was going to be like them
instinctively as they
attacking and
waited
then
for the
finding
sensor
out. No,
operator
they're
to
going full
elaborate.
contact immediately.
But Dr. Sheena was shocked yet again as her eyes picked out a distortion. What is it, Ensign? The Jedi asked.
When she say her eyes picked out distortion, does she mean on a console or in physical space? Because this is more my own ignorance on this side. I don't actually know how big a warp hole or warp tunnel, an entryway into the warp would appear. Because if it's big enough that they can see it from the astronomical units that would usually separate anything in physical space, that is massive. Or they're obscenely close, which is honestly more terrifying. Either way, that's actually insane.
I don't know, sir. I've never seen readings like these, the clone said, leaning over his console as if he was simply not seeing it correctly. Dr. Sheena rushed over to the station, looking at the readings herself.
No, that means she's seeing the
Well,
warp physically
guess.
being breached.
Ren-Fi ordered. I honestly don't know, sir. Black hole, maybe? What?
Yeah,
The Jedi hissed.
Wormholes are theoretically
No,
part of black holes.
Dr.
That actually
Sheena
makes
said.
sense.
It's not a singularity.
Theoretically.
It's a...
Wormhole?
She stuttered, eyes shooting between the readings on her screen and the growing, rippling pool of purple and black energy.
Oh, no, she sees it physically.
Is it, Doctor? Tell me.
They are coming out really close.
Ren-Fi insisted. It's a gate, she said. Well, miss, the clone beside her said, your gate is opening pretty wide. Diameter of the anomaly is 1 kilometer and growing. Inform the fleet.
It's only a kilometer. She can see it physically. Okay, 1. God damn. That is kind of terrifying that they're probably that close to a planet. If anything, that'll probably freak out whoever is running the Imperial side, because jumping that close to a physical body is a great way to jump into said physical body and then die horribly. In the sense for most Space Marines that they would die without a fight and actually just random off-screen death, which is probably worse than dying any other way. Because you don't intend to be that close because of how imprecise most jumping is. Star Wars can do that kind of stuff because if they get too close to a gravity well, they just get pulled out, so it's actually not that dangerous. But 40K doesn't have that. Huh. That's crazy. Also, because it's only a kilometer wide, they have to be within knife fighting distance. And I mean that both in the sense that they could physically just take pot shots at each other. So the distance that you see most space battles happening in Star Wars, as opposed to what theoretically most space battles would actually take place in, which was the course of astronomical units. Because if you can just get a good sense reading on someone, you can project where they're probably at and take shots based on that, and then missiles that would track and adjust based on that. But that's something 40K wouldn't have because no AI. They'd probably just stick a servitor on it. Yeah, they probably would. Just, also they might be using literal knives considering the Jedi.
Renvai ordered. Have them form up around us and back off. We don't want to come off as any more hostile than we have to.
Not gonna help there.
Insane? Dr. Sheena said suddenly, spinning to face the Jedi. If we can get the drop on them, then we should. Even with the fleet we have here, the armada, it still might not be enough. We have to use every advantage. Doctor!
I love how she's both right and wrong. She needs every advantage because the force coming in is going to try and murderize them. It's step 1 for anyone in 40K. If you don't know what it is, it's probably trying to kill you. Murder it first. It wouldn't technically count in this one, but honestly, they're okay with murdering first, even if it's not trying to kill them. Really, the Ultramarine section might, if it was more of the upstanding Ultramarines, but considering that captain and his proclivity towards ignoring orders and going full murder boner, yeah, he didn't do it, so Ultramarine, but he was up to it, so I'm thinking, oh, maybe got a little Blood Angel mixed in there? Again, I have no actual idea if you can mix Gene Seed. People have actually theorized that there are some hybrids, but I have no idea if that's canon or not because it's all theoretical.
I appreciate
First founding,
your
man,
advice,
it's weird.
but this is my command. I will not fire on anyone without a more defined reason.
It's also funny because they would not do the damage. They might be faster, but they're not stronger.
Such an overly hostile formation.
So they're going to see how big
give
that is.
Strangers an excuse to attack first.
I mean, they're going to anyways.
Dr. Sheena grit her teeth, but nodded. She
They're both
knew
right.
She wouldn't get anywhere arguing.
They don't want
with
to attack
him,
first.
So she watched
also,
as the
it wouldn't
fleet began
matter.
to assemble itself. As the visible
I do love
writhing
these
distortion
starships,
grew larger and
the
larger.
Venators are just so freaking cool
And
looking.
then, something is emerging from the anomaly.
It's going to
The
get
clone
bigger.
of the sensors reported. How big? How many?
Kilometer isn't very big in
asked Red
space
Vi.
either.
But there was no need to answer,
What ship it
and the
is.
clone didn't bother, too stupefied by what was transpiring before them. From the pulsating sphere of unnatural, swirling energy, a single unthinkably enormous ship slid out of the breach. It was like nothing Dr. Sheena had ever seen before, and
Yeah,
she
don't fire
briefly
on it.
wondered if she was looking at some kind of space station and not any kind of ship classification. But as its city-sized engines roared to fiery life, she realized in horror that this was no stationary construct, but some kind of truly gargantuan starship. By the Force, the clone beside her breathed. Dr. Sheena looked down.
Really? I don't know why, but it just seems so weird to have a clone trooper swear by the Force. Because that usually implies either reverence or respect for it, even if it's respect you don't agree with. It just, considering everything that comes later, it just seems so weird. I guess maybe it's picked up because they were under a general that's a Jedi for so long and Order 66 hasn't happened yet, but it just feels weird to hear that. Good inclusion, though, because it does show this is pre-Order 66.
The console and then back up at the unnaturally bloated craft. 12 kilometers long, 3 kilometers high,
Big.
2.5 wide, she reported in place of the clone.
Yeah.
And it's damaged, she added. Confirm that, Renfai.
I think that last sentence is probably the most terrifying thing anyone could hear. Because you hear the dimensions, and anyone thinking, oh shit, this is huge, that has to be unbeatable. Because in terms of Star Wars, nothing they have is that big, because I don't think the Death Star has been built yet. Also, the things in Star Wars that are that big, I don't think most people know about. So they wouldn't be aware of, oh yeah, no, we have super weapons too. Because they do. And things that aren't super weapons, but can do in a pinch. Most people wouldn't be aware of that. I'm looking at you, Center Point Station, which I'm pretty sure hasn't been destroyed yet. The fact that it's damaged, though, implies one thing. Something didn't like them. Because if it was done by accident, it wouldn't be moving. And if they're running and they're moving somewhere and it's damaged, that means something hit them hard. That is probably the most terrifying thing you can imagine from a sheer, oh God, this is an unbeatable. Why is it limping? Because that means something bigger hit it. Which, I mean, we know because they're running and they're evacuating from general 40K stuff, which is, oh my God, levels of what the hell? Sometimes literally that too. But this is a huge shock on the Star Wars side. I hope they find into that more.
The trooper did as he was bid, looking down over his screens
also
and
showing
tapping
the
on
city
his
actually on
controls.
top of it, so just straight
She's
cathedral.
right, sir.
Interesting.
It's venting atmosphere around several of its decks. Power fluctuations are being detected all across its structure. No shield detected, and it seems to be making its way towards Pazab.
Oh yeah, they don't have general shielding
Is
for
it
ships.
going to attempt a landing?
It's just big enough.
Renfai asked. I don't... Wait.
At that weight,
Sir, one of the
landing
ships
might
of
actually
the fleet
do
is
problems
not
with gravity.
obeying the muster at our lines, the clone reported. What? Who? Renfai asked. It's the Belajor, sir.
The what?
Captain Kraken. Hail him. There was a pause.
What is
then,
Kraken
and
doing?
Dr. Sheena took the opportunity to look at the sensor suite again. Sure enough, there was Captain Kraken's Venator, far out of line with the rest of the fleet, and on a clear intercept course with the outsider ship. From the looks of it, he had been moving towards it from the very
Oh, this is
moment it
custom
appeared.
art.
Well,
God damn, I thought this was official art because we saw the full-on cityscape, which honestly you don't usually look at on here, but the giant cathedral-esque architecture built into it, so it's definitely gothic as hell. So either they're doing a really nice edit, or someone did some amazing art that I literally thought was canon 40K, and I just didn't realize the source. But no, these are Venators in the background. Either that or someone's just really good at photoshopping. God damn.
is he responding? No, sir. Interference? Jamming? Renfai posited. Not from the looks of it, sir. Contact with the rest of the fleet is operating normally. It almost looks like he's just ignoring us, Renfai
He's being
growled.
stupid.
Order the nearest ships to tractor beam his Venator. Drag him back here. I'm sorry, General, but it looks like he's out of range. Should we pursue?
Was this part of Palpatine's gambit?
He's on an intercept course with the
Probably,
ship.
but
If we
it's
give
very
chase
badly calculated.
after him, it will look like an attack.
I think the funny part here is it doesn't matter what they do right now. This is bad. It looks worse. And it gives the guys on the 40K side absolutely no reason to hold back. But even if it's an Ultramarine branch, it's still 40K Space Marines encountering what they believe is an alien group. The initial response for everyone is fuck it over with Extreme DACA. It doesn't matter if it looks like he's attacking. They do it anyways. I mean, unless it was during, well, not space combat and for face-to-face looking like a human being immediately. Maybe then there might be reasonably peaceful coexistence. But this is not the situation that could ever lead to that. So I just find it funny that it doesn't matter how bad he fucks it up. It's going to do that regardless. But they don't realize that yet.
Then what, sir? What do we do? Dr. Sheena had never seen a Trandoshan sweat, most likely because it was impossible. But at that moment, she figured Renfai was the closest to sweating of any of his species.
Yeah.
For several moments, he simply
Getting so
stood,
hot that water
arms
condenses on them.
crossed, face stiff, frozen. Sir?
He's going to fire.
Captain Kraken had his orders, and he was good at following them. Not just because he was the best damn Venator pilot in the entire Gar. Not just because he could thread a hyperspace jump through a Zygerian slave collar. not just because the enemy capital ship was so stupidly large. Captain Kraken was a good soldier.
He's a dumbass. But again, clone programming, if you have them do something in the right way, they do it. Better than a machine, but almost exactly like one. Yeah. It's always fun because, like, you see them throughout the Clone Wars TV series as individual people up until you get to the Order 66, and it's like, oh, yeah, no, they are massively brainwashed. Yeah, it really is kind of freaky and disturbing to see that happen, even though you know it's going to. It's just, god damn, man. And he's being a good soldier, and if he hadn't received these orders, he would probably be a good soldier still. Now he's a really good excuse to start fighting. Palpatine probably means this as a way to engage in conflicts because it's a rival power. Palpatine's not good at math, apparently.
See forward in any direction.
Really? He turned this... Oh, God. I know exactly what he's going to do, and it actually is impressive. They're doing a suicide ramming attack, which is probably really important, but also... they're going full episode... What? 8? Episode 8 on this one. Turning off the safety and then doing the dumb, which before we all thought was just, okay, there's a safety lock so you don't accidentally do this. Frankly, it perfectly makes sense that hyperdrive technology, if you're moving that fast, would be incredibly dangerous. If anything, it was kind of weird that it wasn't before. Personal take, mostly because I thought it looked cool. Hyperspeed ramming. They're going to do a lot of damage to this thing, which is going to be absolutely useless because there's more than one ship. Yeah, they don't see that yet. And that's why Palpatine miscalculated. Because one, he's doing a lot more damage than I thought, and two, it still doesn't matter.
And was no more.
Yeah. To be fair, that is still a devastating weapon. The sudden acceleration is insane. To give people an idea, a single speck traveling at relativistic speeds is obscenely dangerous. Just having a single speck impacting a space station in an orbit around Earth is going to be enough to take out anything it hits. It's actually why there's tracking of almost all debris in space. To a reasonable level, and anything too small usually gets pulled down or burned up or thrown out. But this is actually something I kind of like because I know this is dividing the 40k fan base. I liked the idea of hyperspeed ramming. I wish it was a thing earlier just because when you have access to relativistic technology to travel that fast, it makes perfect sense that this would be a weapon. In fact, I'm surprised it isn't something more common. Unless it was one of those things kind of like nukes in a period where you'd never think about it because it's so horrible you can't actually conceptualize it. I was going to say think, but no, conceptualize is probably a more accurate word. Yeah. So it's ending there instead of having it anymore. And I was hoping there'd be like an art piece showing the explosion, tearing through it, because honestly, this is something I don't think 40k really deals with much. Relativistic effects, specifically things moving at relativistic speeds, they can probably deal with a lot. I don't think it'll destroy it because it's probably built way more durably than anything in the 40, or I guess the Star Wars side. But when you have things going at that much of the speed of light, any potential speed of it at all, that is nasty. The math gets crazy. And considering this is Star Wars and 40k, there's a lot more than math going on. But god damn. Still, it doesn't matter in the slightest because there's more than one ship. And this might be the flagship, but it's already damaged. It does not matter if this one goes down because everything else is also going to be bigger. And that's probably going to be like the, oh shit, they pissed him off, followed by, oh shit, they had friends. Yeah. I really want to get to the 4th episode now. That's going to be awesome. Especially because there's a lot of custom art. It's like to an insanely detailed degree. That's just amazing, man. Basically, what I'm saying is, this is a really good episode. I love how it's pulling things together and showing Palpatine fucking it up. And we know he's fucking it up. He doesn't. We know it's going to go bad. He doesn't. I love this. Also because it involves Palpatine being the master manipulator. But not seeing how it's obviously going to fail because of out-of-context problem. Yeah. He's really good when he knows exactly what's going on. But as soon as there's an out-of-context problem, like Luke, for example, he had no idea what the hell he was going to do. Again, Palpatine doesn't deal with surprise as well. When he has what's going on and is able to play the master manipulator, he was really damn good at it. But surprises never really did well with him. That's why he kept losing in canon. Because things outside of his control happened that he didn't quite anticipate. Yeah. Still though, more importantly, This is neat. Also, all this spaceship stuff is just, it's just awesome. Oh man, I'm going full Lego movie spaceship on this right now. I'm completely okay with that. Basically, yeah, I got a fan interaction right now. This is completely everything I want out of this. It's just well done. So if you haven't already, link below, hit it up. There's a link. Let the guy know that it's awesome if you haven't seen it already. If you have, do it anyways because it's awesome. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Adios.